Hey, how you doing? Guys, this is once again for all my owner operators that are out there, whether you're currently an owner operator or you are an owner operator to be. Um, so the purpose of this is to discuss all owner operator opportunities in the Florida market and what we have to offer and download good information to good people. So I just got to give an opportunity for a couple people to show up and we go from there. All right. So a lot of things that do get covered in this is going to be uh, things that affect your bottom line. A lot of times, owner operators to be do a lot of moving forward to get their project off the ground, getting their trucking company started, MCs and DOTs and so forth, and sometimes underestimate not having the right equipment. And so that's the important part that we're doing today because the more you plan ahead, the better it is and the better opportunity you're going to have to succeed. Uh, Again, guys, there's always people jumping into the game and there's always people jumping out of the game. So the key focus is actually going to be what can you do to jump into the game if you're actually ready to do so. All right. And that's going to be based on your experience. It's going to be based on the type of equipment you're going to be running. It's going to also based on where you're looking to go and your home time and everything that comes along with that. You want to pre-plan all that stuff ahead of time. So that's what we're looking to do here. We're just going to give an opportunity for people to show up and we'll get started on that. So, it's pretty crazy where I get phone calls a lot of the time where people jump the gun and don't understand the actual cost to running your full blown trucking company when you're under your own authority. So the idea behind it is you shouldn't really be scared about it. You just have to be knowledgeable of what to expect and what's actually going to come. So, for example, just last week, I had an individual that did all the moves, but never, the last thing he did on his checklist was actually get a quote on his insurance, and that's the one of the biggest, if not the most expensive part of his business. And after spending all that money on that truck, after getting the truck ready and everything that comes along with buying he didn't even buy the trailer. He had one sourced out to lease and all of this, and then he barely got the quote for the insurance, and he almost fell out of his chair because that bad boy was about $2,800 a month, and now he had to pivot and readjust his plan, and he's out of funds. So I never like to see anybody in that type of situation. So that's what these programs are about. Just in case you didn't think of something, you're learning through others, and as a community, we're dropping good information in front of good people. If you watch any of our channels or any of our social media, we're always saying that this is, trucking can be rewarding. It just matters how you show up. Your mood is everything. So it can either be a terrible place to be or it can be a very lucrative place to be, but that's going to be up to you. All right. Waiting on a few people. Um, so here we go. So again, it's been a very, very long time since we've done a live. It almost feels like this is actually going to be the very first one. So please be patient with me as I get back in the saddle and back on this horse in order to do so. But we do feel that it's important because trucking is not dead, and so these type of channels have to exist for people to improve their situations. And actually, if it is a dream of them to start a trucking company and take it to the next level, these type of platforms have to exist. So we're doing our part in order to contribute. But you got to be a little bit patient simply because I don't do this every day. And again, we welcome all kind of questions. There is this first episode is not really going to be restricted to just a few questions in a certain sector. It's going to be open. So anything that you need to ask and we can address it, we definitely will. Um, So here we go. Give an opportunity for people to show up. Let me see. Uh, one of the biggest recruiting questions that are out there is always going to be, the most common questions. I'm curious to see how many people were actually going to ask the same recruiting questions, and this platform is going to actually give us an opportunity to unpack that. And I really want to know why that is. These questions are their go-to. I don't want to say what the question is and give away the horse. I just want to see if that's something that comes up, because I almost feel like when people do recruiting calls, there's like this go-to list that everybody's just asking, but not necessarily are the questions. Not that they're not valid, but it's about discovery. It's about what's going to work for you. We're asking these generic questions, and do they even pertain to your current situation or to you as how you would excel in the environment that while choosing this carrier. So that's what we're going to be handling today, guys. So here we go. All right, and a couple of things that we also do here, guys, is perfect platform for everyone to kind of share, their war stories and their experiences, because it's so important to learn from each other's experiences, especially in a business like this where it's an expensive game to play. There's all kinds of people out there. Every mind is a world. How they decide to run their operation and their business. But at the end of the day, it's here for money, right? I do hear that guys aren't here for money, but the problem with that is that it's very expensive to play, and once things break down, all that does cost money. So that could be a problem. Uh, Here we have, dedicated lanes is one of the biggest things that guys out there shop around for. And this kind of leads to my sorry about that, guys. That kind of also that's gonna lead to, let me pass this forward. So so on the dedicated lanes, good morning, Sam. How you doing? How's everything today? Hope you're out there driving safe. Getting back to the dedicated lanes, it just depends on perspective. One of the things that the way we look at it is to maximize profits. uh, you got to have versatility. That dedicated lane, for us, not that it's a bad thing, and I'm gonna jump into that in a little bit. But what it does is it takes away the ability to max out the best of what the market can offer you. Yes, it comes with a little bit of risk, but if you're aligned with the right people, meaning the dispatchers, and their connections with the brokers that are out there, the reputation they have with them. That in itself right there can allow you to max out way more money and still get you home than that dedicated lane. Those dedicated lanes in my opinion, kind of they're very limited. You have to have, and let's say you have a round robin, you have to have two customers that are going to offer you out, A to B, B to C, and they all have to align. They all have to have products. So what we found a lot of times is guys do get stuck. Guys get stuck because one customer wants you to sit there for 6 hours because they just want capacity at the door, before you can leave. So your dispatcher's stuck. He has to keep you there because there's not another truck behind you to take that load that you committed to. So there's always that operational issues that happen there. And then there's the other piece of it, right? You're dedicating your piece of equipment. You're dedicating your truck as an owner operator to that customer. So that versatility of freedom, let's say, I know a couple guys that'll take, let's say, a month off sometime in the summer to do what they got to do. Well, who's covering those lanes while that person is off for that month? Um, that capacity needs to get covered. And so if you're not there, who's taking over, and or what is it that you're coming back to? So you might have those issues as well. And not that we wouldn't do it. We have done it in the past. It's not a definite no or anything like that. But those customers will drop the rate. So for us, owner operators is going to be an act. The owner operator is the customer for us. And that's the bottom line. So as those dedicated lanes start to drop the rate, when those rates actually start to drop is when we have to get out. So again, it comes back to the versatility, because the owner operator has to be understanding and has to be versatile, where if that dedicated lane goes away, your business still needs to run. You still have to have cash flow, right? Because that's going to be king and monumental to your business. And so now you got to be able to change it up with a different dedicated lane. We actually even petition that to guys, like, if you're looking for something dedicated, we tailor that. We can actually go hunting with you, as long as we go into this as a partnership, where we have some resources, where we're putting the insurance, we're putting the equipment and all of that, and you have to be dedicated with your truck. Again, for those who do not know, we are 100% owner operator. There are no company trucks here to compete with. So that changes the playing field, because if you have company trucks, a lot of that dedicated stuff is easier to attain and to meet their service levels, because you're throwing your company trucks at them. When an owner operator doesn't want to do a certain lane. A lot of the times when we've done our dedicated before, they dropped the rate, and actually they didn't pull out, we did. We had a few owner operators on that lane, kept a few. I'm not going to lie. We did lose a couple, because they entered that mindset of, hey, this is what I came for, and only this. They must have followed the work, probably, if I had to guess. However, is the rate even the same? Right. So that's what you kind of have going on. So then we have, those are some of the challenges with that dedicated lane. Which fuel card gives best discounts in your company? It's actually going to depend. And the reason I say depend is because everybody's a little bit different. But I do say that our TCS card is the top one that is actually offering discounts. So on average, for last week, we're over 47 cents on discounts per gallon. And that doesn't mean that's the average, guys. And remember, I do have some guys on our fleet, for whatever reason, don't really use the app. And so they're just kind of, they may stick to a Loves, and that Loves isn't the best, but the TCS is by far always going to offer you a better discount, especially at the pilots and the Flying J's. Actually, last month, if you look at it, man, we actually saved discounts. We didn't save, we actually pushed it back to the owner operators, because what we do here is we're going to push 100% of the fuel savings right back to the owner operator. So I'll explain exactly how that works in just a second, but we're talking over $4,000 on one fuel card, and we actually run with two. And the reason we're running with two is we're giving the owner operator some options. And what happens is, they're going to have two valid active cards simultaneously, and their job is to have the app open, trip plan accordingly. So what you could do there is actually trip plan on the TCS, and then you're going to trip plan on the Apex, on the Apex RTS. I'm sorry, the trip plan on the RTS, and look at which fuel station is going to give you the better savings. So you do have to do a little bit of homework, because you got to look at the sticker price, and then you got to look at the discount on certain locations. Sometimes you're going to see that let's say you have a fuel savings of 40 cents, right? And another one has a fuel savings of 35 cents, but the sticker price is everything, because if the sticker price is going to give you, is lower than the higher fuel savings, you're actually better off with the one that offers a little bit less on the savings, but the sticker price was lower, if that makes any sense. Again, I could do a whole other live on just that with some details and some actual examples. But again, just in the last month, I have guys who saved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here we go. Over 11 guys that were actually over $150 in savings at the pump, because they're taking advantage of it. And it's a combination. You have a little bit of TAs were pretty good, and some pilots were actually pretty good as well. And so what happens is, when you run with RTS and when you run with TCS, they're giving you the option in order to give the how much savings you're going to push to the owner operator, right? We push 100% of that. That is why, and a lot of our recruiting interviews, we've met individuals where, he's whipping out his app because he's saying his fuel savings is better than what we can offer, and he's thinking about trying to maintain that fuel card. And then we whip out ours, and we actually search the exact same parameters at the exact same time, and more often than not, 99% of the time, our fuel savings is going to be a lot stronger than what he's currently getting at his current carrier, because again, we're pushing 100% of that. So I welcome anybody to compare. That fuel is going to be one of your most expensive, one of the biggest expense to your business. So you have to be paying attention to this. And this is pretty much money on the table. So, to leave this alone is crazy, but some people do. You may have bigger companies with those mega fleets where now if they're pushing the same fuel card, those guys may seem a little bit different. If they're beating my savings, it's actually because they're bigger in numbers and they can do more for those individuals, because obviously they're buying way more gallons a week than what 60 trucks could do. But nevertheless, is the concept the same? We are always pushing 100% of that savings right along to the owner operator. So you want to learn more about that program and actually how it works and how our guys are doing it, you could give us a call at 863-342-5171 and find out more about that. And there's plenty of other perks that you could take advantage of as well, that we have here that we do differently than other people. You just got to make that call and get those details. So we got people. So Sam, where you from, man? Where are you? Florida? A lovely sunshine, Florida. Enjoying the rates out of Florida and all that good stuff. Now let's see if he comments back. All right. So, jumping back onto the fuel cards, our Illinois, here we go. Going back to the fuel cards, they're asking, do they work at any truck stop? Yes, they do. So the pretty good feature about the apps is that you can actually filter it to your standards. You can actually look at fuel stations that are within network. You can look at fuel stations that are not in network. Look at that, guys. Pilot calling me. They must have heard about my show. Nah, that's Rachel. I can't take her call right now. All right. So one of the things is like you can filter that, right? So you're going to see in network and out of network. So yes, the fuel cards are going to be accepted in any location. I would say if you had to worry about anything is when you're in the middle of nowhere and it's like that mom and pop's place that doesn't take anybody's fuel card except just, cash or your credit card. But other than that, all your major locations are going to actually take it. Good question, CJ. Where you from, brother? And then again, it's crazy. We did an orientation. I had a fleet owner with 2 drivers, and one of his drivers was like, "Man, I don't even open that. It doesn't matter." And it boggled my mind because I'm like, man, like, how does this fleet owner not force this guy to use the app to get the savings? Fuel is such a big expensive part of your business. There you go, man. Dirty Jersey. So pretty interesting. Everybody from out of state so far. Nobody's from Florida. Um, but again, yeah, that's uh that's these owner operators, man. You're gonna get guys from all over the place. Pretty sweet. That's part of this business. It doesn't really matter where you live. That's one of the biggest perks about being that owner operator. Yeah, there are advantages to being in certain markets than in others, and in the grand scheme of things, and the real good details. But look at that, Mike's from Florida. Welcome, Mike. Hope you're enjoying your time here in Florida. But again, you could take your business at pretty much anywhere. I've seen people relocate from Jersey down to Florida. Once that kind of stuff happens, you definitely are going to see some culture shocks in regards to freight. Um, I've seen a lot of guys get uh, jump on the doing that port work up in Jersey. Pays very different than the port work down here. Again, we don't touch that stuff. One of the biggest things that we do here, guys, is going to be dry van. The only thing we're not touching out there, guys, is going to be California. And I don't touch Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, so nothing on that island. There's actually no need to go to those markets. Everything else is pretty much how anybody wants to run. One of the goals is for us is always to in an orientation, we make them quick, swift, easy going. It's all in one day. We will focus on the details on what will make you successful here. So part of that is the dispatcher understanding your parameters and what's going to be most important to you. So are we going to be focused on actual um, gross income? If that's the key focus, then those dispatchers are going to run and get those numbers for you. Ain't asking if you like this or if you like that. Do you drive this? Do you drive that? Your instructions were, I need to gross this amount of money in order for my business to thrive and to be successful. So that is what he's chasing. Other individuals, different positions, different needs will restrict their business and say, hey, these are the regions I run. And if they're running within that range, then what's going to happen is we meet that demand as well. That's not a problem. He's obviously a business owner, going to know that the gross income that will come at a price to him as an owner, but nevertheless, it's all doable as long as the individual can show up on time, do what he said he's going to do, and the dispatcher's doing their part. We definitely can accommodate the needs of those individuals. All right, so here we go. Uh, Good morning, David. How you doing, brother? How's everything, man? Um, yeah, so a lot of guys, always are considering either over the road, regional, and then you have local. So, man, I'm interested to see, like, is there anybody in the comments that could tell me, like, how exactly are you, when someone's calling in, right? Like, you want to compare what's an OTR guy making to a local guy. I mean, that's such polarized like question. I want to know what makes you want to run regional over the road? Like, what's the driving factor? Is it just money? Is it that the actual individual is looking for home time? And then based on that, I can answer some questions, but I really want to know what is the biggest reason for somebody trying to understand which one he should be running. Oh, my man, Sam, right here. Local opportunities. Local, does it pay? It depends, man. It depends on what money is to you. Some guys are gonna do local. Here's what I say, man. Like to be honest, I could do it. But no matter Florida, welcome to Florida. No matter what you're doing in Florida, I don't care if you're doing poor work. I don't care if you're hauling rocks, this, that, the other. You're going to probably be netting that 1,800 to 2,000 on a weekly basis. 2,000 on the higher end and good on some good times, but that's where you're going to be in the ballpark. So to be wishful of anything other than that, you'll have your peak seasons and you'll make a little bit more, but here we go. There's if is that enough to sustain your business? I don't know. I truly feel that if you're not, if you're not taking home $2,000 a week minimum every week, it might be the beginning of the end, because even if you're running local, the repair bills on your truck, there's not a separate category to pay local fees. Like a tire's a tire, man. All those expenses are going to be real. There may be needs that the person's in position to that, but I don't know. If I had to give advice, I wouldn't tell anybody to buy the truck to be local. I would definitely stretch out more than that. I would even say, leave Monday, come back Friday. Now you're gonna have quality time over the weekend versus quantity, just kind of doing this local thing. Because even local, man, like, let's talk about that, right? Like, we fall in love with the fantasy that you're home every night. Man, but you get up 2, 3 in the morning, you ain't coming home till 6, 7 o'clock at night. So you ain't jumping in no pool, you ain't doing no barbecue. You're just gonna eat, sleep, and do it again the next day, right? And then and your money is limited. So it just depends. Like, I wouldn't recommend anybody buying a truck to do that. Now, if you already have a truck and you've lined it up accurately, and you planned for this, you're gonna be local, then that's a different story. But not necessarily would I recommend a first time owner operator go buy a truck to be local. I don't think that that's a good game plan. Um, no, so local don't pay in Florida. Yeah, but it's interesting because people might be doing local for a few years, 5 years, and they're still going door to door and looking for those magical loads. Like, at some point, it's a trend, right? Like, if trust me, man, if there was a company paying $4,000 take home local, you'd have a line there from there to Miami. But it doesn't happen because Florida is a different market than like we were saying, the cats from Jersey. So that individual from Jersey probably seeing way different rates because, again, it's just a separate market. Our guy from Illinois right here, Sam, different market. So you're just going to see a different situation in those locations. Um, but again, to learn more about our programs and even on the local side, what we do is we welcome individuals in. Obviously, you're local. Come on into the office. You sit down with that dispatch team. You sit down with the ops manager. We show you sample settlements on what the goal is, how creative we can get to make sure that you're maxing out on that money. So, for example, we're in Lakeland, the mecca of trucking, right off of 60. So what that enables us to do is actually, even if you're picking, we could get versatile, right? So now I could pick up a load. Let's say picks up Monday, delivers Wednesday on 300 miles, $1,000. Sounds like a shitty load because of how long I don't know if I could curse here. Oops, sounds like a bad load because I'm sitting on it for so long. But what you do is take that load, bring it to the yard, stage it, head out, and then grab an empty and continue working. And on Wednesday morning, you're delivering that. So now what we did was we put that in a bag, and now we have an extra load for you on that week. So if you're the right guy and you can play that game, now you can actually increase your settlement. But again, I got to be able to trust the guy. I got to be able to make sure that he's gonna show up on that Wednesday and get that done. But those are some creative things that we can do behind the scenes, and it's just smart dispatching. Now it's a game of chess, right? I can't change the market. It is what it is. But what I can do is how we run. Yep, Mike, that's right. OTR is the king of the road. I mean, it is the best. I think OTR because you have versatility in order to make as much money as you possibly can. Um, but it's up to the individual and what they're actually looking for. Uh, is there any owner operators left in the trucking? Seems like everyone is slaving for mega carriers these days. Yeah, man, I think there's a lot of people that go to these mega carriers because they think bigger is better. Um, and I don't know, like, the guy saying, like, I'm just a number. I'm just a number. Man, forget all that. You could be just a number. As long as your money's right, a lot of people wouldn't complain about that. So I think the mega carriers, people go for stability, the illusion of stability. They think that those guys aren't going to go anywhere, that they don't make cuts, that they're immune to, you know, uh, being volatile in this industry. But I actually think it's different, man. I think those are the first ones to fall because those big boys have a lot of overhead, and making those adjustments it comes a lot quicker than the smaller guy, in my opinion. And look how many trucking companies have closed in these last few years, right? Even like this year, like it's a lot of these mega carriers making these cuts. This is actually a Florida company up north from here. Like 200-300 trucks, boom, out the door, man. He's walking away from the industry and just selling out the equipment. So I think owner operators who know how to find the money, and are not, they don't waste time looking for money where it doesn't exist. The versatility of being with a smaller company, I think those true owner operators enjoy that because they know that 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 dispatcher's he's gonna work harder because the way they package the incentive programs for these dispatchers, he's not sitting in some cubicle. He actually has accountability here. So that dispatcher is everything, man. He is mom, dad, psychiatrist. He's studying the market for you. He's posting the truck. He's your safety guy. He's doing all of these details for you, and you can't really do that at a mega carrier. At these mega carriers, remember, they're so compartmentalized where, if you have a delivery at 8 p.m., you're not talking to your dispatcher. That guy's gone, man. So you got to relive your whole story again to the night dispatcher. And who's actually running nights? Usually not the sharpest tool in the shed. And now it becomes difficult because they're overwhelmed and everybody's calling. And so now I think the quality of service to you as an owner operator, not mega trucking, is not going to be the same as if you come to an environment like this one where that owner, the actual dispatcher here, has full ownership. He booked that load. He knows the details. Why would you waste time calling me at 8 p.m. when he can fix your problem in 30 seconds? And I'm going to call him anyway to get the details. So we just cut to the chase, and it's about solutions. It's about resolving the actual issue as quick as possible, and transparency, right? So again, we need your participation in that. We need you to communicate, and that's where even transparency comes in, right? Uh, Mega carriers are never going to show you the actual Raycon. It doesn't matter. You're never going to see any of that. Here at this level, we're going to show you the original Raycon information. As a matter of fact, that's exactly how you're going to get the addresses to where you're going and where you're picking up and the times. You're going to be looking at exactly what your dispatcher is looking at. Remember, because it's not just about the Raycon, it's also what it says. The predatoriness of it is whether we accept it or not, right? So you're going to see what these guys are doing out there, minus $200 for not tracking. Has anybody out there fell victim to exactly that? So here's what happens, right? So it might say, let's say I don't know, top of my head, you book a $2,200 load, but 200 that goes into tracking. You get paid, everything is good. 60 days later, boom, there's an underpayment. Where did this come from? Why are they underpaying this load? And what it is, it's you didn't track, and or there was no proof of tracking. However, the broker isn't actually calling you in the transaction. They're not calling you and saying, hey, I noticed you're not tracking. Is there any way? No, this is their way, especially in tough times. This is the way to get their get back, right? They're going to get their money back. So they purposely are not telling you. So you got to be vigilant. They won't tell you, and then you'll get underpaid. And everything, all the effort you did to negotiate $200 more on that load, my man just took it right back by simply just laying back and staying silent. So you got to pay attention to that. I don't know if they're scamming, man. Like, I don't know. I think these guys are just as good at this game as we are. You just got to be better than them. I think that's just tactic. It's the same, like, when we're using our tactic, right? The savviness. That's why your dispatcher has to be has to have the same cunningness, has to have the same ability to negotiate, has to be just as you violent to get the best rate for you, and have the same mind frame as that broker, because that's the only way you're going to make money. I've seen let me tell you why there's a lot of turnover in dispatchers in this industry, in the spot market side of things, is because, let's say, somebody searches a load, boom, it's there. And you take that load. Did you do your job? You did, but did you really do your job? So your real job is calling, because if you're just going off of parameters on the that, or you're not asking for more money every single time, renegotiating delivery times, posting a truck, comparing and making phone calls, because the only way you're going to know if that's going to be a good rate is if you're calling. How else would you actually know? So you got to be calling, and now you get a sense of what that rate per mile is going to be out of that certain area that you're in. But you got to be able to negotiate with a broker. You cannot be shy. You cannot feel bad. Your customer is that owner operator. So that is the secret behind a really good dispatcher. You want that guy to challenge you. I'm not saying get into an unhealthy relationship, but I mean, not. I'm going to admit, not all of my ideas have always been good. But if a dispatcher is going to challenge me and say, "All right, Christian, like, no, we're not going to Texas, man. I know you love it, but the rate bottomed out, bro. Like, I'll still get you home for the weekend, but we need to go to Ohio." And I'm in my feelings because I told him I'll never go to Ohio. Why am I in my feelings if he's doing his job? I actually need that challenge. I should be more worried if he's a yes sir and he's just yesing me to death. And my job is to get there on time and make sure that my hours are straight, my truck is straight, and all that good stuff. He's the one living in there. He's the one looking at the loads. He's on the load board. I'm not. I'm over here trying to get to point B and get unloaded on time. And so why is he listening to me? And so just because it makes me feel good for that one moment, man, it's all gonna hit the fan when that check come, because when it doesn't look good, guess who's to blame? He is anyway. So he might as well be doing his job and coaching me through that individual. But I have to be open to be coached. So those are some of the things that are out there with transparency, right? Again, we show the Raycon. Um, we have two packages for our guys, to learn about the details behind them. Definitely, you got to give us a call at 863-342-5171. But there are a package for guys that are actually using our trailer. And there is going to be a package where guys bring their own trailer to the table. So you do have some requirements if you're bringing your own trailer. But again, you can definitely give us a call. We got the recruiter on standby, and also I'll personally take the call after my presentation here. It's 863-342-5171. One package is 75% if you're using our trailer, worry-free program. And then if you're bringing your own trailer to the table, it's 85%. So before someone asks, yes, I have had guys who come on with using our trailer, and within a couple of months, they level up and then have their own trailer. You could definitely make that change and that switch. There's not a problem. There's no no jumping through hoops or anything like that. It's no small print to be that makes that impossible. We love to see guys who level up. As a matter of fact, we've had guys here who have left, but for the better, right? They've opened their own authority and they go do their own thing, and we're still in communication. Plenty of work for everybody in the business. There's plenty of money in here for everybody. Everybody just has to be consistent on what they do. So here we go. Guys, again, to learn more about our fuel card program, to learn about our plate program, you got to give us a call. It is 863-342-5171. Yes, we definitely do work with owner operators that are out of state. I actually got guys out of Texas, Colorado, Jersey. Man, I got some Chicago guys. So definitely work with guys from out of state. Some have their own trailer and some are using ours. There's not a problem there. But one of the things we do, guys, our orientations are going to be here in Florida. So the guys that have joined the team did make the trip out here in order to go through orientation and pick up a trailer. I know we're going to probably ask how they got down here. So here's what I suggest and what we have always told the guys. As you're talking to your current company, just take a power only load down this way so you're not losing money. So you're not going to be losing any kind of money. And I'm sure your current company is going to be willing to work with you. And the reason I'm saying that is because if it were me and it's one of our owner operators, let's say, who's leaving, we're not immune to any of that, guys. Guys sometimes have to make changes and so forth because of whatever circumstances. I would power only a guy out. Let's say my Texas guy came back and he wanted to step away. That's not a problem. He can come down, drop my trailer, power only him out of here. So if the relationship is there and this is just business, guys, there should be no reason that they're not willing to play ball with you in that regard. And everybody makes a little money on the exit. It would just be childish for me to bring him here, strip decals, and just leave him hanging in the back, right? Unless it's a major safety concern or something crazy. I don't think that kind of stuff should be happening. All right, so cool. Got a Raycon, man. Just jumping back to what we were talking about before. Look at this Raycon, man. All right. This Raycon must be signed and returned within the hour. If not, $75 for that. All right. So the reason that that's some BS, man, is because like if it wasn't signed and returned within the hour, just don't even give the guy the load. But look, they're just waiting for that for like $75 just for that. Macro point tracking required, must be activated by driver, or it's $100 a day. This load is $1,300, guys. So it's a $1,300 load. I don't have the miles on here, so hold up. So $100 for that. Driver must call, text with 2 status updates daily, $50 a day. So if you're already tracking, why do you have to call twice a day to give an update? So you could potentially lose right there, $200 a day on this load. Report POD and OS&D at each location before departure, $50 fee. Drivers must verify BOLs for each PO before departure, $50 fee. Drivers must submit to dispatch a photo of the loaded product, $50 fee. So I hope they're giving my man access into the facility to be able to do so, or before they actually seal the trailer. Breakdowns or other driver related delivery delays, $150 a day. So there are things that happen that are beyond your control, and I get it, man. There's going to be companies out there, companies out there that just BS or they had a breakdown, but it was really a driver being inefficient with his hours of service. But even if you have that, man, like a real breakdown, let's say this is real, man, $150 a day. Missed appointments due to carrier incur rescheduling charge, $200. Follow Walmart appointments exactly. Early, late arrivals, $750. I hope there's no way we took this, but this is the type of stuff that we print out. Gets kicked back to the broker that we're just not going to do this unless they're willing to take a lot of this stuff off of this Raycon. So for those who do advances limited to $300 a day and 40% of the load. EFS exclusively issued for lumpers per instance, $10. So now not only are, the lumper has a $10 fee for it, should be their bill. Submit all documents within 30 days of load completion, or it's a $250 fee. Guys, you may actually end up doing this load for free. And it's so easy for that to happen. So this right here, guys, is what your dispatcher should be looking at. This is, and at those mega carriers, are they even looking Probably not. And then the dispatcher's just shooting out, then at that point, you're only going to learn about it when you get these underpayments. And now you have to call the billing department who doesn't know anything about anything. And now we're here. So the beauty about a location like ours, we all work side by side. I mean, we could throw a rock and hit each other. And then that gives us the ability to say, hey, maybe there's a Raycon that has a little bit of special instructions that it's a little excessive. However, it's very feasible because of the environment we're in, and we can communicate between departments. And so it's worth it because we have the necessary communication in house in order to avoid those charges. But once you're at a mega carrier, are those guys even looking at something like this? So, guys, you got to be careful out there. All right. David, do you offer free annual inspections to your owner operators? I know you have an in-house mechanic. Yeah, we do. So here's the way we do it. We actually offer 3 of them, and the owner operator has to pay for 1, right? Because what we're actually going to do is the following: we do our DOT annual inspections every single quarter. All right, we don't bring a truck in and to say, just maintenance on it or anything. Not just maintenance, but just a just an inspection on it. What we're gonna do, we're already there. Mechanics under there. We're gonna just do that inspection, and or if it's those guys that don't come to Florida, they go to a reputable place. Nothing that is pay to pass. But when they onboard, they come with a clean inspection. Obviously, they paid for it. And then every quarter after that, for the next 3 quarters, we will pay for the inspection as long as they pass. And if they're here in Florida, we do actually have guys who park in the back and or the drop yard, so the mechanic can actually take a look at the truck. Sometimes just get a glance over it, make sure everything is there. Preventive maintenance is everything to your business. For our guys, we do some work, bolt on, bolt off. I mean, my guy's not gonna put a turbo on or anything like that. Don't want the liability that comes with that. Not that he's incapable. But if a guy wants to order through some fleet products, enjoy our discounts, get it delivered to the shop, and he's doing some brakes or he's doing some airbags or something like that, for sure our in-house mechanic can make their lives a lot easier for that owner operator. So again, it's finding these little things that matter in order to keep your business moving and keep you thriving, right? So now the guy's enjoying home time. He's not worried about moving that truck and going there and PCing back and yada yada. And maybe even his truck isn't ready because his mechanic wasn't there for that, for the weekend, or something came up and now he can't go out on Monday. Because my dispatchers will push him to go out on Monday. Because again, every owner operator has that financial goal, and in order to hit those goals, we got to leave Monday. All right. Why would anybody take this load? This one here? Oh man. I think you're gonna have that comes down to your dispatcher. There's no really other way to look at that. That's just gonna be complaciveness, weakness, just kicking a can down the road, hoping that this is gonna resolve itself. So you gotta be accountable. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like let's say there's 5 other dispatchers with me and I'm not the only dispatcher for this driver. And when he calls back, if I'm a mega carrier and there's 7 other dispatchers behind me, and I just give him this and I'm not even accountable for it. And he's just got to talk to somebody else, when there's a problem, probably then. But here, your dispatcher is your dedicated dispatcher. He stands by his work, and he's going to have to answer for this. I mean, you guys are going to talk on Friday. Actually, Tuesday. We do settlements on Tuesday. So he's going on payday. My man is talking to you about these underpayments. He booked this load with you. You guys know exactly what you're talking about. You guys know exactly why that deduction is coming because you both saw it. So I think the weak dispatcher is why somebody would book a load like this. And there you go. And as for I've even seen crazy, man. Like I've interviewed a couple of dispatchers that came from the broker side, and even in rough times, I've seen where man, they'll get instructions to actually like, all right, run run the macro point report, and you're talking stuff from like 4 or 5 months ago, and whoever didn't track, start deducting that, because maybe 4 or 5 months ago it was a better time, and when there's cash flow, things get slipped and nobody's really paying attention. But when you need cash flow, man, you're getting deductions and claims from stuff from like 4 or 5 months ago. So it's always important to treat this critically. Your dispatcher's got to be on point every day, every time, every load. And so here we go. uh Most loads with mega carriers are going to be contract freight. Yeah, and also what comes with that is, the lowest bidder won the load, won the freight. So once you're talking about that, in my former my former life here, I excuse me, I did work for mega carriers, and yeah, that's who's going to get the work, is who put the lowest bid in. And not just that, sometimes they'll take work that's not profitable just to expand the portfolio. Or let's say you got a lane in Florida that they know they're losing money on and nobody's making money, but because it comes with a gravy load in the Midwest or in the Northeast, and so this portfolio across the country is why they take these less than desirable lanes, and now you're stuck where there's not enough room in the lane to make it to make for an owner operator to make money, but you have to do this because it's tied to other set of work that's somewhere else that's profitable. But you're not reaping the benefits. So what do you care what they're generating over there if it's not hitting your bottom line? Why should your business suffer? Uh, Mike, dedicated lanes pay more. Spot market's trash. This guy. No, no, no. That's not the situation here. I welcome any dedicated lane guy, especially if you're living in this Florida market. Come on in. Let's compare settlements. I bet I could do better. But it comes down to what you're willing to do, right? That dedicated lane, like we said, that's more complaciveness. That's more for somebody who probably just wants that routine, but is not worried about the money. But again, that money is, you're gonna. There's a couple of things that could go wrong here. Nothing's forever in trucking, my people. Nothing. So your world will be upside down the minute that anybody in that dedicated lane steps away. So I've seen it where, boom, we lost a Lowe's account at a different company. We lost that Lowe's account. Well, that killed the whole round robin. So now you can't even get anybody out to PA to pick up that Lowe's. So it doesn't matter how much it's paying. There's no there. You don't have that connection. So now it's like pulling teeth to get there, and now it's not going to work. So that work will go away. It's just a matter of time. Sometimes your service level could be 99%. Some sales guy switched companies. He has a great connection. Now all you know is that work is being awarded to a different carrier, and is being absorbed within their network. So you see it happen all the time. So dedicated lanes are not the place to be, in my opinion. And even if you do have something that's pretty gravy, just know that you got to be ready to switch that up. Spot market, yes, it's a little more risky, but the reward is going to be a lot greater. I don't know, man. Maybe that's one thing of me. You can't play it safe all the time, like complaciveness and just safeness. Not for me. Just you got to roll, got to risk the biscuit a little bit to get that bigger reward. So here we go, guys. Once again, to learn more about what we do and how we do it. And again, this is our first time going live. It's been a long time. Just kind of getting my feet wet again. And, what we could do is our next one will be a lot more structured, and answer more detailed questions for individuals. But nevertheless, to learn more about our program, plate program, fuel program, trailer program, the insurance, anything that you need to run your business, we're here to help. It is 863-342-5171. We do have free parking for individuals who are in this market, which gives which is cost savings for you as well. Um, and then it gives you that ease that exactly that once you parked here, mechanic looked over that trailer, it's ready to rock and roll for that Monday. No surprises, because time is money out there, guys. You don't want to get caught up, especially on a Monday when it's go time, and find out that you have need a trailer repair and nobody's in sight. So that's the worst way to start your week. The best way to start your week off is, if there is something that popped off and you happen to find it, the mechanic's right on. He's on track, and he's ready to rock and roll. He's on call. Uh, my guy says, do you ever have to bobtail it out of Florida because of the low volume and rates? Yeah, for sure. I don't want to say volume. I want to say probably more rates, and it's in the beholder. So it just depends, right? What our guys are going to do here is actually push you. So there's a couple ways to do it, right? You can actually take an intro load to the Panhandle, probably pays more than going to Georgia, and then deadhead to Alabama and hit the ground running. You can also, if you're gonna deadhead out, cool, leave Sunday night, because why? That's gonna make a major difference where you're in Georgia, let's say 8 a.m. ready for pickup. That you'll be that much more ahead of the game. Everybody operates a little bit different, and everybody is successful in that regard. But what cannot happen is, wasting time looking for money where it doesn't exist. So for example, it's been 24 years, rates leaving Florida don't change. They're not going to change in the next 24 hours. So if you're not taking a load on a Monday and you spent all day negotiating, fighting with your dispatcher, looking for this load, and then finally they find it 10 cents more a mile, 20 cents more a mile, whatever, leaving Tuesday morning, my man, like, you just lost a day and a half of work. So how are you ever going to make it to your goal? So let's say your goal was, $7,000 for the week. If you're not at 2,900, 2,700 on the books by Wednesday, how are you going to make it? So you can't leave Tuesday to end up in Georgia on a Wednesday and think you're still going to make your goal. Like, what are we doing? We have to look forward and make those connections. So leaving Florida, it is what it is. It's just like any other market. What comes out of Colorado, Nevada, like there are plenty of these as a matter of fact, there's supply and demand, because loads coming into Florida is where you're going to make your money back, right? So you got to pay attention to that. So that load coming in is incentivizing people to this market, because leaving doesn't pay. So it is what it is. Nobody's going to control that. I don't care who you are. There are no magical loads leaving out of Florida. It's just, you got to pick your poison to get out. But the idea is to get out. And once you are out, then at that point, you're going to negotiate the money where there is money. Georgia, Alabama, anywhere else but here, you're going to be in a much better place. And now you have an opportunity to actually hit those numbers. And again, I encourage you to have these conversations also with your dispatcher, because mega carriers, again, customer rate, they're not even looking at this. They just have like 100 loads come in, 50 drivers, 2 loads a pop. Like, you're just making sure that people break down. So those dispatchers don't really have the knowledge of spot market. So if a customer fell out and they're like, hey, we only have 4 loads, not the regular 10, and you happen to be a guy left without a load, can that dispatcher even fix your problem other than telling you to hold on? I'm waiting for an email. There might be a load tomorrow. And now your business is suffering because he doesn't know how to hit. So again, you got to align the right people around you in order for your business to survive. That's what this is all about. It's improving your surroundings in order for you to be able to make it as an owner operator. There's a lot of things in this business that we don't control. We have to focus on what we do control, which is what markets we're going to. This is a game of chess, right? No one's changing rates. No one got magical loads. It's how your dispatcher is going to fight, how they're studying the market, having the proper equipment, having the proper team behind you in order to support it, and everybody does their part. and holistically, you end up on top. All right, man. This is my attempt at my first live. Once again, join us next time. We will put out the notifications. I encourage everyone to actually come with questions so we can answer them to the best of our abilities. Transparency is everything. Remember, this is all about putting good information in front of good people so we could win at this game called trucking. It's an expensive sport, but again, I thank everybody for coming through, and we will talk soon. All right, I got to get back to work.